Welcome to the Author Roundup. This special segment of the Book Connection Show features up-and-coming indie authors who sit down with us and talk about their recently released books. Join us as we chat with our next guest author. Hello there, my name is Emma and I will be your host for this episode. Today I have with me author Ava A. As a first-time author, Ava A finally decided to write about the unbelievable story of her life and boldly share all aspects of her struggle to survive it. She is an average middle-aged suburban housewife and mother, serves as an example that people's traumas are real and that unless dealt with appropriately, life's tribulations will only continue to torment you. Through it all, she taught herself to defy the powers that were against her and reclaim her honor and dignity. Hi, Ava. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you. Well, I'm really looking forward to this interview. So your book is called The Nearly Dead and the Newly Bred, which is a really good title, like really good. Can you tell us about it?
Absolutely. Sorry. This is a true and it's a very harrowing story about a young girl's fight to escape the clutches of the devil and his coven. And in this case, the devil and his coven are her family. And she's doing this not only for herself, but on behalf of her ancestors as well, as they're from a cursed bloodline. It's about strength, resiliency, faith, and about finding hope against all odds.
Okay, so a part of your life and your book, you share that you were taken from your parents and raised by those connected to the underworld. Can you give us an insight into what that world looked like for you?
Yeah, it was a world that in the beginning, I didn't know I was any different than anyone else. I just thought everybody grew up that way. But after writing in my journal, realizing that this is torture, what I've been through, I had been basically enslaved since I was a small child, cooked, I cleaned, I was not permitted to finish my education. Their children, they were allowed to do those things. And I realized that can't be right. There's something not right here. The dots were just not connecting for me, which is when I realized that things were quite wrong at home. And obedience was one thing, but perfection was what was demanded from me. And if you failed, I really got it. I really got it. I have had plates of hot food thrown at my head if things weren't seasoned just right. And I've been cooking. One thing I can say, maybe on a positive note, was that I actually became a fantastic cook because I cooked so early in my life. But it was very, very hard to maintain that standard. And fear was the only companion that I had.
And you mentioned that there were other children. These were not your siblings?
No, I was told that they were my siblings. And I was told that these were my parents. And I believed them. I had no clue of who I really was until I think officially until I was like 41 years old when I realized they're really not my parents. So yeah, it was quite a rude awakening. But I knew that there was an imbalance. I always knew that there was an imbalance at home. Yeah.
So were you abducted?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Wow.
I was abducted from my parents, literally from their arms.
Oh my gosh. And you said you didn't find out about this until way later in life?
Way later in life, yeah. It was something that I'd always questioned. I even when I had gotten married, I went and I asked psychics. I said, there's something missing, and I don't understand why my parents just cannot love me. What is wrong? Can I do something to help this? Because I didn't want to be feeling this way. And they all would refrain. Immediately, as soon as I would ask them, they'd say, just leave well enough alone. You don't want to know. So there's something already. I knew that there was something off about that.
And so how did you find out that that was your truth?
Actually, that's exactly how I found out. There was one person who was willing to finally, I went to him and I said, listen, I called him uncle and I said, uncle, and he was very psychic. And everything he had told us up until then was absolutely correct. So I knew he was valid. And I said, I just don't understand why my parents can't love me. Can you help me? And he says, you know what? Bring me a picture of them. And I'll see if I can help you. So when I did take their picture in, the family photograph in, he just looked at the picture and he says, no, I'm so sorry to tell you, these are not your parents. And I fell to my knees, literally fell to my knees. Though I kind of suspected it, it was really hard to hear. And I said, really? And he said, these are not your parents. And I'm very sorry to tell you that, but I think you should know. And that's how I found out initially. And then, oh, the memories just flooded. The floodgates opened and the memories would come back. The nightmares came, the night, the terrors would come, and I would remember things and wake up in a cold sweat and say to my husband, like, I don't understand what this means. This is what I've seen. And eventually I did manage to connect the dots. And eventually I saw that there was a very disturbing pattern that came out. Yeah.
And in your book, you talk about powers of love and light. How did these abilities shape your strengths or your triumphs and struggles throughout your life?
I can pride myself on the fact that I cannot be mean. I don't have it in me. I can't be negative. And I think it just takes far too much of my energy to be anything but a nice person to other people. I could be going through literally hell and back, and I will still go and ask that lady at the entry level job, hi, how are you? How's your day? How's your shift? Are you okay? And, my husband, sometimes he looks at me and he goes, I don't understand how you can do that. How can you just put all your troubles aside and be so nice to everybody else? But that's just who I am. And then as I explored more into it, I realized I was quite psychic, and I couldn't pick up on that before. And that I could say things, predict things, and I realized that that's a power that not everybody maybe has, but that was a gift that I had. And it really, what it did is it solidified me even more to be an even better person. And that meaning, saying that, I mean that I want to use this book to help others. This is what it's all about. It's not just about my trauma now. I've dealt with it and I'm dealing with it, but it's about other people who are going through pain and trauma too. I want them to know, don't, whatever you do, don't do what I did. Do not walk off the ledge of that building and think that you're no good and that there's no space for you in this world. We are here on earth on purpose for a reason. And you know what? We have to live our life. We have to be strong, and we can empower each other. And we can say that, you know what? That person did it. That person walked away and they're stronger for it. I can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the only thing you can have sometimes is hope. And I think you're someone that is a test to that.
Yeah, for sure. I really think that it's so invaluable. It's just so invaluable. And people are important to me. I don't care if I've never met you before. People matter to me. And there's no one in the world that has the right to make a person feel less than. And so I hope that people will read this book and really know they are so worth it.
You mentioned a little bit about your family and your family's bloodline being cursed. What do you mean by that, and how did that impact your destiny?
My biological family's bloodline, I understand, was cursed. My family we're talking about generations ago. They were healers. They were seers. They were, so in today's terms, you'd say they were psychics and they were healers, and they used alternative methods to help people. Not everybody back in those days, I suppose, looked at it that way. They probably viewed them as witchcraft. Maybe they were into witchcraft, or they were witches, and they were labeled witches, and they weren't witches. They were just very psychic and gifted people who used alternative methods to help people. So they were cursed because there is a connection here. You see, biologically, there's still a connection, and they were family members. They knew each other. But they were so successful that they were taken down by other family members. And so now this curse was placed on me before I was even born. So my mother, well, I guess she carried a cursed child, is what they said. So when I was born, the people who were related to my family needed me to be dead. They needed me out of the picture because they knew that I was going to be the generational curse breaker, that I was going to be the person to make positive changes, correct the past, pay for my family's karmas, and, make a beautiful future. That's not what they wanted, though. They still wanted to stay in power. They still wanted our family bloodline to be cursed. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. And so another thing in your book is you described your loyalty as lethal. Can you share how this both helped and harmed you throughout your journey?
Yes, I'm both of the dark and light. I'm always of the light. I'm always, always of the light, always of the good. However, I do know that if pushed into a corner, if shoved into a corner, if there's nowhere else to go and people are being hurt, other people as well as my family, I will push back. And if I push back, I'm not in control at that point. If I pushed back, then supernaturally something could occur that wouldn't be very good. And this is only something that I would ever consider. Like, if you were pushed me back into a corner and I had no other choice but to go to my dark side, because I do know that in my family bloodline, there were people who used the dark forces, maybe one person who did that. But if that's what was necessary to survive, for my survival and for the survival of other people around me, then that would be something that could happen. That's why I would never, it's so very hard for me to get angry, and I won't get angry. Yeah.
Yeah. And so much of your book explores the theme of being stuck in survival mode. How do you move beyond just surviving to truly live?
That's something that just actually happened to me within months, like maybe several weeks ago. And yeah, that's something that I just was able to do. It's very hard to explain, but I thought after I wrote the book, I was finished. I thought, I am healed, I'm good, everything's great, and then whatnot. Little did I know that the worst was yet to come. And I'm kind of actually starting a new book, trying to, yes, to describe this. And it's believe it or not, that's when the plot really thickens. And so I'm going through this even as we speak right now, but I'm truly, truly free now. But I had to hit rock bottom. I had to literally die, literally be pronounced dead on the table for me to come back. And I at the time when it was happening, when I was leaving, and I said to God, because I believe in God, so I'll just say God. I said to God, I don't understand what you're doing. I don't understand what I'm not doing right. I've been through all the dark nights of the soul. I've been through hell and back. I don't know what it is. Maybe you've forsaken me. And that's when he took me, and whatever it was that I went through, I won't say too much about it because I'm just writing. But that's when I realized when I came back, I achieved total freedom from all the shackles that bound me before. I felt different. I looked different. I walked different. Everybody, all of the medical staff, everybody said the same thing to me, that I don't know how anybody can go through what you've just been through time and time and time and time and time again, get pushed back down and keep on coming back. I don't know how you do it. And I said, you know what? God did it for me. And I'm truly liberated now. But it's interesting. I don't want to give too much away just
Exactly. Yeah, we don't, but it is very interesting. And so your book that you have written, it does that just focus on your childhood, or does it focus on your childhood leading up till now?
Oh, it leads all the way up till now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And what you were just talking about, that happened after this book. So you're writing about that experience in your next book, right?
Yes.
Okay. Very cool. And so what advice would you give to readers who see themselves in Ava's struggle and want to find their own path to freedom? What would you say to people that potentially read your book, or people that feel that way that she's felt?
Whatever happens, you cannot quit on your passion. If you passionately know that this is something that is wrong, that something happened to you that is wrong, you need to find your strengths. It's in you. It really is in you. You might think that you're not strong enough. You might think that you're not good enough, but you really, really are. And I want to be that catalyst that can say to you, look at me. I'm here. I'm okay. I'm alive. I'm okay. I made it. I'm
Mhm.
positive that if they read the book, number one and the number two that's coming out of that I'm writing, that they can't help but take inspiration from it. It's not a
Yeah.
fake story, it's authentic. And that's very important for me to say that when I wrote this book, it took me a long time. It took me 15 years to write this book. It was not something done in a year or something. And the reason for that was because I needed to be as authentic as I possibly could. So I recreated it, and the environment, I had to be cold and dark and lonely. And I had the darkest music playing because I had to be that child all over again in that place all
Yeah.
over again. And when I did that, I realized that was the most authentic thing I could do. Now, that was really, really very hard for me, but that's what I wanted to give to my readers. Like, I will do this because I want you to know I'm being honest, I'm being forthcoming. And as Harry Potterish as it might sound, some aspects of the story, it was all true. It was all true. And I want them to know they will be believed. If they need help, they need to get the help. They really need to come out and get that help, because it's not about your tax bracket. You could be running a country, or you could be homeless and living rough. We are all people. We are all the same. We are all here for a reason, and we all have pain and trauma.
And so, what was that like to put yourself back in that type of environment? Were there memories that kind of were triggered from, and like memories that you lost that were brought up during your writing process?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it really was that. I left in tears almost every time from that room. When I came out, it took a toll. That's why I had to write the second book, and those things happened to me, because it took a toll on my health. I suffered greatly with all the stress again, reliving it again. There were times where people would tell me, just, stop. You have to just stop because it's taking too much out of you. And there were times where I couldn't function on a daily basis because it took so much out of me. So it definitely affected me. Like I say, it took me right back there. It was but it was empowering at the same time. It's funny to say that, I know, but it really was empowering at the same time. Once the crying stopped, then I kind of put my shoulders back and felt better. I felt better about myself and stronger, that I had the courage to go back. A lot of people wouldn't go back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes you have to.
Yeah. And also, like, I'm sure, yeah, like it was difficult, but I feel like probably something in you was like, I have no choice. Like, I have to write it. You just felt like you needed to get it out. And that was the only way that you could move forward, is, I'm assuming, how you felt. And I feel like how a lot of people feel like when they want to write a book. Your book is more, you know, heavy and deep. But I feel like a lot of authors feel like they have no choice to just, power through and get through it. And you did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Thank you.
so your book explores universal human experiences and the importance of finding closure. What do you think so many people struggle, or why do you think so many people struggle with unresolved emotions, and how can your book help?
I think that we are so conditioned as a society to be strong,
Right.
and strength means never crying, never showing weakness. And you know what? I did that too. For years I did that. And that's just throwing dirt on top of the problem. You're not solving anything. And it was actually my only friend growing up was my journaling, sorry. And when I put that away, and then I grew up and I became a woman, and I remember that I was expecting my first child, and I came across these journals again, and I read it and I said, oh my God, why have I not done anything about this? Nothing has been resolved. I am just put a mask on to be a good wife, a devoted mother, a good family member, but nothing changed inside me. I was still that little girl. So when I came across those things, see, we're just throwing dirt on it. And if you're doing that, And I'm sure so many people have no other choice but to do that. They're not wrong. I do understand you got to get on with life. But at some point, it's going to come back. We all have
Yeah.
those ghosts in our closets. And unless we go back there and say, you know what, this wasn't right. This wasn't right. And, I didn't deserve that. And if we don't get it solved and we don't start talking about it, and you might not be able to speak to your family members, maybe you can talk to me, a stranger. And that's good. That's what we have to do is we got to get it out. And like I said, pain is pain. Everybody's pain is not going to be the same. It's going to be different or similar, but it's got to be dealt with. And we've got to start the healing process now. And like I said, I believe that this book will touch everybody in the world. That's why I say to people and folks who ask me about it, it's not my book. It is not my book. It is your book. It is every reader who reads it. It's their book because it's their story. I guarantee you this book will resonate somewhere. It will trigger some people. All the people, all the time. There will be something in that book that will make people go, wow, she got it. Like, that's how I feel. That's important to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I mentioned a little bit about your why earlier. Can you go into a little bit more about what inspired you to publish and really tell your story?
Yes. But like I said, when I found those journals, I initially started to write about it, not in a book format, but I just started to get it out. I just wanted to say what really happened, what I really felt. I didn't want to be quiet when I was being beaten. When I was a child, I didn't want to be quiet. I wanted to be back. I wanted to hit back, but it was something you can't do. So I wrote those kinds of things first. And then knowing that the family that I'm from is extremely big on keeping up appearances. You do not challenge your parents. You do not say anything to anyone other than you have the perfect life. So when I realized all of this, when you put it together, it didn't benefit me at all. It only benefited the people who keep destroying me. So this really was very important to me to start writing about it. Eventually, I convinced myself, because my biggest fear about this book was to remain anonymous. I didn't want to put my face to the book because of this keeping up appearances. But when I realized lately in the last few months that my family did not respect those rules, they were spreading rumors and gossip and lies and things. I thought, who am I protecting? And if I stay anonymous, am I really doing any service to the general public? Because people need to put a face to the name and say, you know what, that woman, she did that. And she's okay. She's good to go. So we can do that too. But if there's no face to the name, it's very hard for them to do that. Yeah.
And so you mentioned that it took you 15 years to write this book. So you started writing it when?
Oh my goodness. I just know that when I finished the book, I don't specifically remember the year. I know that I think I probably started at 41. So, and I know that when I finished the book, I did one of these, I'm counted, and it was literally 15 years that I counted. But it was very late in life. It was later on in life.
And so when you completed your book, when did you want to seek out publishing and ultimately self-publishing?
Immediately. When I finished it,
Okay.
yeah. And I read the book myself and I'm like, this is pretty darn good. And I'm really positive that somebody's going to benefit from this. And if it was just one person that benefited from it, if one person doesn't take their life, I've done my job. That's what I want to do. And I'm not that person either that, Emma, that I'm doing it for the money or what. I would take what I needed to, the investment that I made out of it. And then my goal, my dream, my hope is to give back to everybody, to organizations that can help people who have dependencies, who need the help, to organizations that can help animals, because I love animals, and to support their shelters and medical advancements. That's what I would do with any money that I made from the book. It's very important to me to give back. I just wouldn't be a person that can sit on that. So I really hope that people know that this is really important to me. They matter. They really do matter.
Yeah. Was there a particular scene or moment in your story that was especially powerful or emotional for you to write?
Yes. Yeah, there was many, but chapter 8 was pretty darn hard. Chapter 8 in the book, and I probably won't elaborate too much on it
Yeah.
just because it was so traumatic, but
Yeah.
it was life altering, and yeah, it was very difficult.
Was it hard for you to take yourself out of that environment when it was writing your book? Like the space that you created and the darkness, was it hard for you to take yourself out of that when you were finally done with your manuscript, or was it easy to just, like, snap out of that type of environment when you weren't writing?
No, it was like you were there. That's exactly
Yeah.
what it was. Yeah, it was very, very hard it was almost like withdrawal.
Mm.
Just going through the DTs and just trying to say, I'm okay, I'm safe. That
Mhm.
was that was then. I mean, it didn't
Yeah.
stop just leaving the room. We would continue when I would have the nightmares and the night terrors and whatnot. And it was really hard. It was really hard to come back down off of that. And I for that reason, I mean, even today, like I don't have a lot of friends. I don't go out very much. I became very withdrawn in the sense that I don't even like going to malls anymore. And I used to love to go to malls, but I
Mhm.
won't even go to a mall now. And I stay away. I stayed away from the general public as much as I could, but that wasn't healthy. And I
Mhm.
needed to snap out of it. And there came a time where I had a bit of tough love from the people around me. And, it was, come on, now it's time to start living again. That
Yeah.
was then and this is now. And that's what it
Mhm.
took. It was gradual.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it did
Mhm.
happen.
What was the most difficult part of your writing process?
I think the most difficult part, I think, was really believing in myself that
Mhm.
anybody else would believe my story. It's
Mhm.
so unbelievable. When you read the book, it is so unbelievable. People tell me that all the time, like, no, 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 that couldn't have happened to you. You live in a first world country. That couldn't happen to you here. Well, it did. Everything I said, it did happen to me and it did get worse. And when I got married, they transferred that hatred onto my husband and then my children. And it didn't stop. If it's got anything to do with me, it never stopped. So that was really, really difficult. That was a really difficult thing to do. It was challenging, I think, to more than anything. I was just thinking, no one's going to believe this. And I would quite often say that to my family, no one's going to believe this. This is too surreal. This is too, as I say, Harry Potterish. They're not going to believe it. But it's true. It is true. Every single word of it was true. And whether people believe it or not, it happened. It happened to me. And I'm attesting to that for sure.
Yeah. So your book was published last year. What kind of feedback or review have you received about your book?
Yeah, my book was published just last year, so just a few
Oh,
months
was
ago.
it? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I honestly, oh, sorry, the feedback that I'm getting, and like I say, from people, is that the initial reaction is, no, I don't believe it. And then when I do try to say, no, this really did happen, then what kicks in is, why are you so nice? I
Mhm.
don't understand how you can go through that and be nice. How can you keep smiling when you walk down the hallway, you walk down, the street, and you look so well put together and, very composed and like you're very dignified? No, you don't look like a victim. And what does a victim look like?
Yeah.
What does a victim look like? A victim doesn't have to be somebody who look like they just spend 10 months in a prison camp. You can still be a victim of society, of your family, of your surroundings, of your work,
So
and it
true.
could hurt you. But you
Mhm.
don't have to. I don't like it personally. I don't think that it's something that I have to transfer to people and say, "Well, I'm just going to be miserable today because I had a very bad life." No, that happened. It happened to me. I'm working on it. I've worked on it. I can still be a decent and kind person to people.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. What has your husband and your children thought about your book? Have they read it?
I won't allow my children to read it in its entirety. If they ever did read it, I would say I would really like you to skip chapter 8. My husband has been in on it from day one. Because he's been himself victimized. So he knows exactly what's happening and what's not happening. It's, yeah, they will probably read it. At some point, they will read the book and probably they will read chapter 8 too. But my, my children, it's very hard for them to read it because I'm mom.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah. And so they really have a hard time with that.
Yeah. So you are a first time author. Had you written anything before? Did you ever enjoy writing? I know that you said that you were journaling when you were younger and that was the inspiration for the actual book itself, but do you like the concept of writing in general now?
I love it.
Yeah.
Because I'm very computer illiterate, but you put a screen and give me just the words and I will go nuts with it. And I've written some books for my children as they were growing up. Yeah, some really nice, happy books.
Yeah.
So that was always nice. I shared it with them. But yes, I do. I love writing. I really love writing. But I am not probably I'm not accomplished. I'm not accomplished because I haven't finished my schooling. And that's something that I really regret till this day, that I have not got my, grade 12 diploma or nothing. Because I was a smart kid, I think. And I could have been somebody, but that's okay. And not everybody's gonna, you know, do what they want to do, I guess. It just, like I say, it depends on what your story is. If you were allowed to, that's great.
Yeah.
But I wasn't allowed to.
And so as a published author though, what advice would you give to someone working on his or her first book?
Please, please be passionate about your subject. If you are passionate about what you are writing, it will show and in your work, and it's becomes an art form, I think. It just becomes an art form all on its own. If you are writing something because you have a quota to fill or because you have to make a living, that'll also show in your writing, and then it becomes work. So I think that would be my advice, is please be passionate.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I know that you said that you're working on part 2. How much of that have you gotten written so
Very
far?
little. Very little so far. Well, I mean, maybe about a couple hundred pages.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Because it's still happening.
Yeah.
So yes, yeah.
Yeah, of course. And so that's kind of a goal that you want for this year. What about any other professional or personal goals you have for this year?
My professional, pertaining the book, my professional goal is I want this book to go global. I want it to be global because it does not discriminate against color, creed, language. There are no barriers. It applies to every single human being on earth. So I really would like to see this book go global and that people say, I get it. Who is that person? And I want to make a difference because it's just so universal. Pain is universal, but so is kindness. And so is getting over those hurdles. You can do it. I mean, we're built to do this. If we weren't, we wish nobody would be successful.
Yeah.
That's professionally where I would like the book to go. And personally, I would just really like to know that just one person's life was saved because they didn't do what I did, what I tried to do, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all the time we have. But I do just have one more question for you today. And that is, Ava's journey is one of resilience, faith, and strategy. What is the number one lesson or message you hope readers take away from your story?
This is going to sound cliche, but that any single thing in life that you want is possible. It is possible. There is nothing impossible about your dreams. People say they shun you up right away. They just shut you up and they say, you know what? You can never be a singer. I mean, you can't be an actor. You can't be an actor. Why? Why do people do that? Why do they place limits on other people? So my book and my purpose here is to say you can do anything you want. You can, if you've dreamt it and you've got the passion to do it, do it. If you fail miserably, at least you tried. At least you tried, but you're gonna guaranteed failure if you don't try. So just try. I know this doesn't look like a lot, but being on Zoom for the first time, I'm so camera shy. And even going on a computer in any capacity is huge. My children will never believe this. I didn't even tell them I'm going on. I wasn't even sure I would be
Really?
successful at it. But you know what? I pushed myself past my comfort zone and I'm here and I'm talking about it. This is an example. I know it's such a trivial example, but for me, it was huge. So
Yeah.
please believe in yourself. Please don't say it's impossible. Please try. And you know what? If nothing else, you're going to respect yourself because you tried and you failed, maybe, but you're still
Mhm.
going to respect yourself because you tried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, first off, that's really, really, really good advice. And second off, I would never think that you would be camera shy because you are so confident on camera. And we've been talking for, like almost an hour now, and you've done such a good job. Like really,
Thank
really good
you.
interview. So
Thank
no one
you.
would ever know.
Trust me, I lost a lot of sleep before we got on here.
Oh no. Oh my gosh.
That's okay. I expected it anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so
Well,
much.
is there anything else that you would like to share with us today, Ava, before we head out?
No, I don't think so. I really hope that people will pick up the book. Please pick it up. I mean, if nothing else, you'll find part 3 entertaining, I'm sure. I had a lot of fun with that part. So, please pick up the book and please read it. And if you don't like anything in there and you think this is all hogwash, well, that's okay too. But at least if you just pick it up, I guarantee you it will resonate with you. It really will.
Yeah. Well, I hope that people do pick it up. And I thank you so much, Ava, for joining me today and taking the time. And it was wonderful to meet you.
Thank you very kindly. It was so nice to meet you. You're so sweet.
Oh, thank you so much. And to everyone watching, please pick up Ava A's book. You can head to archwaypublishing.com to purchase her book. And as always, you can go to Amazon or Barnes and Noble or head to your local bookstore and order it there as well, if you prefer that way. And please give her a review too if you do read it. And thank you so much for joining me. And I will see you guys all next time.